listen, folks, real quick, I want to give everybody a quick heads up. If you are sharing information on social media, such as Twitter and Facebook and also YouTube, that has to do with this outbreak of this virus over in China, now spreading throughout the world, be very, very careful about the information that you're sharing. Already this morning, I noticed that a lot of people on Facebook are complaining that articles that they're sharing are being removed by Facebook, and Facebook's fact checker is labeling a lot of the news stories, from different personal websites that people have. They're deeming all of it fake news. There was one individual that shared an article in the Planet X News group, maybe about an hour or so ago, and the Facebook snowflake fact checkers, man, they were on it like white on rice, because the article was claiming 23 million people have been infected by that virus. So let me give you the skinny on what's happening. We don't really know. We don't really know what is happening. Now, over the last 48 hours, I've noticed a lot of information is getting out of China via Twitter, and a lot of people in South America and Mexico, for some reason, they are able to see these tweets from China, and then they are sharing them and retweeting them on Twitter, and also uploading a lot of information onto Facebook and YouTube. Now, I did find out yesterday that a lot of videos that people are creating and uploading to YouTube, they're getting community guideline strikes. The videos are being taken down. I don't know the exact reasons. Probably because of graphic content. I've had access to a lot of information coming out of China over the course of the last 2 days. I haven't shown much of it on my Facebook pages because I don't need any more trouble with Facebook, as I already have now. Same thing goes with YouTube. I have written 2 articles up today. You guys should definitely check them out. They are both available on the planetxnews.org website. I have shared them on my personal pages, the Planet X News Facebook page, the group page. So check them out and read them. There is some video information within the articles that you guys can watch. Hint, hint. Do you get my hint? All right. So, this virus is making its way around the world, and look, it's going to do so, folks. I don't even know what to think about it, to tell you the truth. I've been talking to a lot of friends of mine that work in the public. I have friends of mine that work in restaurants, in banks. I told you about the one friend of mine that works in a Planet Fitness gymnasium. And just being out in general public, I don't know. I'm not going anywhere. I could tell you that much. I'm avoiding crowds. If I have to go out and I have to touch something, I already have latex gloves that I'm going to use, and I don't care what people think. Some of the information that I did see coming out of China directly from hospitals, where hospital workers are getting very upset, very scared, very mad, very frantic, because people are literally dropping dead on the streets. And then early this morning, I got an update on a doctor that passed away. They said that he had contracted the virus 9 days ago. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but he was 62 years old. He was in perfect health, and it took him out. Very, very sad. I think here in the United States and abroad, protecting yourself and protecting your children and the elderly. So there arises a big problem because your kids have to go to school. They get on school buses. They're in a tight, closed environment. You got children going to daycares. And for all of you that have raised kids and you sent them to daycare, no matter how much you try to keep the daycare clean, you still have irresponsible, idiotic, stupid parents that send their sick children to the daycare to infect the rest of those children. So, if you have a sick child, do not take chances. Take the child to the emergency room. Don't fiddle-faddle around with your pediatrician and waiting for an appointment. Take the child to the emergency room. Keep your hands clean. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your mouth. Be vigilant. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you do not have to be in crowded environments, then don't go. I had a brief conversation with a friend of mine late last night, and she's a bartender. And there was a guy in the bar last night that was coughing and hacking all over the place. Now, she has 2 small children. She got so upset with this guy, she wanted him to leave. And, he had some drinks in him already, and he said, "I'm not leaving. I didn't do anything wrong." And she said, "Well, obviously you're sick, and I don't want you to get me sick and everybody else in here sick." Well, the guy didn't want to leave. He felt that he didn't do anything wrong. She called the police, and, based on her just saying, "Look, the guy's a nuisance. We want him to leave." And the police threw him out. Then I spoke with another friend of mine this morning. He was at a local McDonald's at 6:30 this morning, grabbing some quick breakfast before he headed out to work. While he was standing in line, he could partially see and hear somebody in the back of the kitchen coughing and hacking. And then he said he saw the employee step out from behind the stainless steel display. It was a younger guy, probably an older teenager, 18, 19 years old. He did have gloves on, to food prepping plastic gloves. But then he saw the kid go like this with his nose across his arm and sleeve and across the back of his hand. He got so upset about what he saw that he called the manager over and he said, listen, this is what I just saw. Is your employee sick? And the manager kind of caught a little bit of an attitude with him, and he said, well, I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Don't you pay attention to your employees? You know, you run a restaurant. This is supposed to be a clean, healthy environment. And if you have somebody in the kitchen prepping food and they're coughing, sneezing, hacking, and wiping their snot on their sleeve and across the back of their hand, and they're making my food, well, I got a big problem with that. And then he said, you know what, man? Cancel my order. Give me my money back. I'm out of here. So, not everybody is as smart and alert as we are. We still have billions of people on this planet that are asleep and they don't know any better. So, I don't really know what to make of this, folks. I mean, we have the outbreaks of the flu and, influenza every single year. It seems to get worse every single year. And some of the rumors, let's just get to the rumor mill. A lot of the rumors that, I see, and they're all all coming from the conspiracy theorists. And look, I'm one too. Everything's a conspiracy. But you have to have facts. You can't have partial truths. So what I did notice is a lot of people on YouTube and Facebook already spreading the rumors that this is a way to depopulate the world. Labs have released this virus to wipe out millions of people and things of that nature. To be honest with you, hey, look, that can all be possible. Is it happening? None of us know that. None of us know that for a fact. So, if you happen to be one of those people that is sharing that type of information on social media, don't do it. Don't do it unless you yourself have the facts. And let's just put it this way. If you did have the facts that a government or multiple governments unleashed a pandemic virus around the world, I can guarantee you this, man. If you had that information and it was true, you wouldn't be alive to spread it around social media. They would whack your ass out as fast as you created that Facebook post. So I know a lot of people like to catch a lot of attention on Facebook and YouTube, and you want to get people riled up and you want to get them going, but you don't have the evidence, man. So don't be an asshole and spread fake news, because it is becoming a very, very big problem. When that happens, the social media giants, they see the problem, and then they start whacking articles and videos and real news. They start eliminating it, terminating it, and banning people, suspending, Facebook pages and YouTube channels, and it just creates a big, gigantic freaking mess. So you're all grown adults. Let's try to verify the information. Let's try to get good information out there for everybody. And be very careful about the others that are sensationalizing what's happening. Just because some guy decides to make a cell phone video and tell you a story doesn't mean it's true. You understand what I'm saying? And even though he may be convincing and sound really truthful, he just may be some jerk off that wanted to do something like that. So, create fake news. I did notice one thing, that Facebook is allowing a lot to transpire on their platform. Usually when things like this happen, they start to shut things down. You know what I mean? They start to eliminate your reach, how many people can actually see your post. Twitter does the same thing. They all do it. But look, man, we're in the beginning stages of a nasty situation. A few years ago, I had a discussion with a friend of mine who is very into science and things of that nature. And we talked about viruses from space. He turned me on to the information and turned me on to a few abstracts and scientific articles that have been written about this. And a lot of people don't even know where viruses actually come from and how they spread and how they mutate. And I think it's a good idea at this particular time that each and every one of us, we try to educate ourselves on how this happens, why it happens, where does it come from. And the article that I wrote up just a few hours ago is called Viruses from Space. Each and every day, approximately 800 million viruses come from space. It's a fact. Tests have been done. The article that I wrote up, and I'll show you guys the article real quick. And it's right on the Planet X News website. I'll put the link in the live chat if you guys want to check it out or bookmark it later. Trillions of viruses fall from the sky each day, and most of them are from space. Now, this goes into some scientific information. I was able to obtain some really, really high resolution electron microscope photographs of what these viruses look like. And they do look like them little nanobots, don't they? They look pretty creepy. But without a host, a virus can't survive. And if any of you are familiar with the term panspermia is a hypothesis about things from space, meteors, comets, viruses, creating life on Earth. Now, you guys could look it up and maybe catch a video on it or a documentary, but it's pretty neat. These are actual photographs that I have in the article. These are all photographs of what a virus looks like. Some viruses, the majority of them, under electron microscopes, and it's pretty creepy. They're very creepy little critters. It tells you about what the viruses are and how they work. Goes into some history about viruses, and it's viruses from space, viruses that are literally hundreds of millions of them in the upper atmosphere. And one thing that I touched on, probably back in the summer, when all the permafrost was melting in Alaska. And you're talking about permafrost that has been frozen for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, maybe even 10,000s of years. Who knows? We don't really know what type of bacterias and viruses are dormant in that now thawed land. A few years ago in Siberia, I think it was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little longer, a large portion of Siberia melted. And animals like deer, and they were grazing in the newfound grass. All of a sudden, they all started dying. Well, the people wanted to use the meat, so they slaughtered what was left of the animals and ate it. Well, that frozen land in Siberia unleashed anthrax, and it killed the animals, and the people, they ate the infected meat and they died. So, that's really crazy, but it's actually true. Not everything is made in a lab. Not everything is completely one big fat conspiracy. Take a look at how many meteors are streaking past our planet each and every day. I mean, there was just one that was spotted, I believe it was over the UK 2 days ago. Spectacular photographs. Very, very close. If we could see it in our skies, then Lord only knows all of the little residue and particles that are falling off of it are falling ever so slowly into the upper atmosphere. Maybe they make their way through, and then they make their way all the way down to Earth. And then some animals eat it, and we eat the animals, and there you go. But a virus has to have a host. These viruses can also attach to plants that the animals eat. So you can see how that cycle begins. And it could be deadly. Very deadly. It seems that over courses of time, this has happened. I shared one article the other day. I believe it was 1720, 1820, 1920, and now 2020. Just about every 100 years, a very large virus outbreak occurs. So, it really does make you wonder, where is this coming from? Now, I've heard all kinds of rumors all over social media about the virus came from people eating bat soup, people eating snakes, people eating cats, people eating worms, and oh man, the rumors are just all over the place. But we don't really know. They're assuming that that this came from some kind of infected food in one of these Wuhan markets in Wuhan, China. I don't know exactly what they're doing, with the people. I've seen and heard all kinds of rumors. We just don't know if it's misinformation, disinformation. It's really, really hard to say. One thing I've been very surprised at is we really haven't seen that much detailed coverage on the mainstream media. You see a little report here, a little report there. That's about it. This was the article that I wrote up a few hours ago. This is the doctor that passed away, trying to help people out. there are videos embedded in this article. This is also a doctor. This guy right here. He is he's not a medical doctor. I forget what his title is. I think he's an epidemiologist, if I'm not mistaken. He was putting a warning out there for people to pay very close attention to their surroundings. And if you can, try to avoid, close-knit places, subways, buses, airplanes. I mean, let's face it, folks, just about everywhere you go, you may have a problem. People are collapsing everywhere. There's a video there. This is more from this Dr. Eric. I can't even pronounce his name. I'm not good in Mandarin or Chinese. I embedded the video that I did the other day to give everybody some additional information on how they could or should proceed with trying to protect yourself from this outbreak. There's a bunch of confirmed information in this article. Everything in my article is confirmed. It's not sensationalized. There's an updated map in here for the cases, but that is growing. That is growing like on an hourly basis. A lot of information here. Now, this was a video right here that I've embedded, and this was coming from a person who works in one of these hospitals, and yeah, you guys might want to just go ahead and watch that. That's all I'm going to say. Just go ahead and watch it. I'm trying to be a little careful about what I say here. And I think you all realize that about right now. So these viruses from space, very, very interesting. I'm sure if you mentioned that to anybody, they would probably think that you were a kook and you were crazy. But it is actually true. They've done some pretty sophisticated tests on actually gathering these viruses, and in one experiment, they gathered 800 million viruses in one day during one of these tests. But you could read about it in the article. Something else I wanted to touch on real quick, folks. We all know that we're getting towards the very end of the month. And if a lot of you haven't been paying attention to what I've been saying for the last couple of years and what I've been saying recently about this Planet X 28-day orbit, we're getting into that time where just over the last 72 hours, we've seen this uptick in seismic activity around the world. And not more than 24 hours ago, magnitude 6.7 crushed Turkey. So far, 22 people have passed away, thousands of people have been injured, and a lot of destruction, okay? A lot of buildings damaged. I wrote up another article, put a lot of detailed information into this article. I was waiting to get, information coming in from Twitter, from around the world. And the destruction's pretty bad. They took a really, really hard hit. You could see by some of the photographs here. And I've embedded a couple of videos from over in Turkey. You could watch the videos. They're all from YouTube. This one's from the Associated Press. And there's a third video here. And then here is a tweet with a video, and I believe this was either taken from a drone or a helicopter showing you the destruction. This is a video that somebody in their apartment in one of these buildings as the earthquake started to shake, and it did some very, very serious damage. There's another video from the earthquake embedded here. This one is from Facebook. This poor guy, he's in a looks like a small pharmacy type store, and you could already see he's already crouched down, and the shaking was pretty violent. So check these articles out, and if you want to feel safe about sharing real information, you can gather all of it right here. I'll grab the link real quick for our website. I'll stick it in the live chat real quick. And you could share those articles, read those articles, bring yourself up to date on what's happening. We're going to go over some basic information pertaining to the coronavirus. Now, this coronavirus, they're stating that it is the cousin of the wicked SARS virus. And so far, it has infected hundreds of people since the beginning of its outbreak in Wuhan, China in December. Now, what we know so far is that it does cause a very, very severe pneumonia, and it does not, I repeat, it does not respond to any antibiotic treatments. And that's kind of not surprising. When the SARS virus first came out, it had a mortality rate of about 10%, meaning 10% of the people that contracted the coronavirus or SARS passed away. There is a virologist by the name of Dr. Poon. He has discovered this recent virus, and it is part of the family of coronaviruses. Now, the World Health Organization is offering some guidance to countries on how they can prepare for it and how they can monitor the people who are sick. Because, again, this virus does not respond to conventional treatments. So you say to yourself, well, what is this coronavirus? And coronaviruses are part of a large group of viruses that are common among animals. In rare cases, they are what scientists call zoonotics, meaning that they can be transmitted from animals to humans, and that is according to the CDC. Now, the symptoms of this coronavirus. The viruses can make people very sick, naturally, usually with a mild to moderate upper respiratory tract illness, similar to the common cold. Coronavirus symptoms include a runny nose, cough, sore throat, possibly a headache, and maybe fever, which can last for days and possibly even for weeks. For those with a weakened immune system, the elderly and the very young, there's a chance that the virus can cause a lower and much more serious respiratory tract illness like pneumonia or bronchitis. Now, there is another form of this coronavirus. It is referred to as the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, also known as the MERS virus. And that was first reported back in the Middle East in 2012. The symptoms are quite similar. There is also another member of this coronavirus family, severe acute respiratory syndrome, also known as SARS. Now, folks, how it spreads. Viruses can spread from human contact with animals. Scientists think that MERS started in camels, according to the WHO. With SARS, scientists suspected cats were to blame. When it comes to human transmission of the viruses, often it happens when people come in contact with infected persons' secretions. Yes, I know that sounds gross. Now, depending on how virulent the virus is, a cough, sneeze, or handshake could cause exposure. The virus can also be transmitted by touching something that an infected person has touched, and then touching your mouth, your nose, and your eyes can cause the infection instantaneously. Now, the treatment for this coronavirus. As I stated earlier, there is no specific treatment. Most of the time, the symptoms will go away on their own. But from what I've been researching and what I've been reading, the symptoms will go away on their own. However, depending on your individual age and your individual health, medications, antibiotics, they're not going to help. So for instance, for people who have asthma or COPD or any other type of breathing affliction, you are going to be in a greater risk factor for having very serious complications. So on the first signs of fever, sore throat, the achiness. Look, folks, we all know what the flu feels like. My recommendation is to get to your doctor as soon as possible. If you don't have a primary doctor, go to the emergency room. Now, how you can prevent this. And this is where I actually had a few conversations with a few friends of mine that actually work in the public. One of my friends is a physical fitness instructor at a Planet Fitness center. And she told me that last year was just absolutely horrible. People were coming to the gym, you're sweating, you're coughing, your bodily secretions are all over the place. And as much as they try to keep all of the equipment clean, well, it's a germ, folks. It's very small. So your chances of contracting the virus, well, they're at an increase. Now, she said they are already trying to prevent this at the Planet Fitness gym where she works. Last year, she got the flu virus, not this coronavirus, but a flu virus, and it hung on for 4 weeks, causing her to actually miss work for the first 10 days. So, keeping your hands clean, covering your mouth when you sneeze or cough, avoiding contact with large groups of people. But in that circumstance, ladies and gentlemen, you have to go out, you have to go to the store. You don't realize everything you touch. Like, for instance, at a gas station, you go and you pump your gas. Well, you don't know who touched the gas pump nozzle just before you did. So if somebody was sick and they were coughing into their hands, did not wash them, did not disinfect them, and then pumped their gas. And then here you come strolling along, filling up your tank, and you touch that gas nozzle. And then you get in your car and you touch your steering wheel and your gear shift and your turn signal. And then maybe you take a stick of gum and put it in your mouth, or rub your eyes, or rub your nose. So therefore you see how the infection can spread very, very rapidly. Now, I spoke with another friend of mine, and he works at a bank. Same situation that my friend at the gym had. Touching money. Well, look, folks, we all have to touch money. We all love to touch money. But he had very, very serious issues at the bank where he works. The flu virus went rampant through the bank. Everybody got it, and it lasted in their bank business for 3 straight months. One person after the next. And if you know that you are sick, you should call off of work and take care of yourself. Get medical attention as soon as possible. Now, all too often, people cannot afford to just take off of work. And let's say you work in a shopping center, a Walmart, a department store, where you are going to be around hundreds, if not thousands of people per day. So you see, if you go to work in those first 7 days where you are really, really sick, and naturally you're coughing, you're sneezing, you're touching everything in the store that others are about to touch. So you see, you can spread this virus to literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people. So I hope everybody sees the broad picture here of how this virus can spread very, very rapidly. Now, I do know that in airports and with a lot of airlines here in the United States, they are already checking people for these symptoms, and they're literally not allowing them on the plane. And this is being conducted at several major hubs here in the United States. Now, the coronavirus and pregnancy, that is a big issue. There have been several studies related to MERS and SARS back in 2014. And women that were infected with this coronavirus, MERS or SARS, had a very, very high percentage of stillbirth. So again, if you are pregnant, you need to be vigilant. You need to pay very close attention to your health. We all know that. So, taking these precautions, knowing that you have to go out, you have to do things, just be on alert. Now, me, I'm a germophobic. If I go into a store and I'm walking down an aisle, and at the middle of the aisle, I see somebody coughing and sneezing and hacking all over the place, no matter what I want in that aisle, I turn around and I go all the way to the other end of the store. I don't want to be around it. I haven't had the flu in 21 years. Now, I've been taking an herb for the last 22 years, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 22 years. Yes, the name of this herb is called astragalus. And when I started taking it, it really wasn't available in the United States. I was ordering it over the internet and from Europe. I used to fly for a living, and I was constantly getting sick from these airplanes. And I looked up, ways I could boost my immune system. And this Chinese herb, astragalus, was the ticket. So if any of you want to, go to your local vitamin store, GNC, and ask about astragalus, or do some research on your own before starting to take this supplement. Now, once you have astragalus in your system and a buildup in your system, coming in contact with germs and viruses, if you actually end up getting sick, it really, really does lessen the effects, meaning you may not be sick for 10, 14, 21, 28 days. Now, if I get a little sore throat, it lasts maybe 1 day, if that. So I've been taking the astragalus. I take 2 capsules, 500 milligrams every single day. So before you start taking anything like this supplement, do your research. Make sure that it would not interact with any other kind of medications that you would be taking. But boosting your immune system in today's world with these coronaviruses and these flus, well, we all know that millions of people have died over the centuries, over the decades, from things like this. So boosting your immune system, keeping yourself in good health, is always the right thing to do. Now, here was something that was very interesting. This coronavirus can actually be transferred from you to your pets, such as cats and dogs and other animals, and vice versa. So maybe you have an outdoor cat. Maybe your cat came in contact with the virus, and the cat comes into the house. And naturally, you're petting and you're hugging and you're cuddling with your cat or your dog. Bingo. So these are the ways that you can get sick. Now, in the infected animals, one of the main symptoms is diarrhea. The animal will have very severe diarrhea and dehydration. So their symptoms aren't exactly like ours. But on the first sight of your animal being sick, do not take any chances. Take your animal to the vet, and hopefully they could save the animal, because the mortality rate with cats and dogs and other animals, contracting coronavirus is not good. So again, pay attention. Pay attention. And again, let me repeat myself. Keep your hands clean. Disinfect your hands. Avoid direct contact with people that you know are sick. Wash your hands. Disinfect your hands. And if you kind of forget and you're out and you're touching things in a shopping cart, do not touch your face. Do not touch food and put it into your mouth knowing that your hands were not clean. Do not rub your eyes. Do not rub your nose. So maybe pick up a little hand sanitizer. Ladies, you are pretty good at keeping it in your purse. Guys, But listen, you could get a little bottle, you could stick it in your pocket, and if you notice somebody at work that is really sick and they seem to not care about infecting others, maybe you might want to pull that person to the side and say, hey, listen, Bob, you seem to be pretty sick. You're going to infect all of us. Why don't you take a couple of days off? Maybe go to the doctor. Now, my friend that worked at the bank that I mentioned earlier, they have a policy now in effect that if you are sick and you do have the flu, you are now not permitted to come to work for 3 to 5 days. Therefore, trying to stop the spread of these viruses. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the best information that I could give you at this time. And I'm going to leave a link in the description box under this video. And it is related to an article that I wrote this morning. And it also has the announcement from the CDC and what is occurring out in the state of Washington with the first person to be infected by this coronavirus here in the United States. So you may want to watch the press conference video and listen to what they have to say. I hope the information that you received here today will help you, and I definitely hope that you stay healthy and you do not contract this flu virus. And that is your exposure and your disclosure. Thank you for watching, folks.